like clip we wings, somehow we can't fly out. But when we there a yard, nothing nice like Jamaica. Roast breadfruit and banana. Under the tree with a glass of lemonade. Jumping at the river when me ready for bed. No boy can't buy me out. Me no foreign minded, no way compared to Jamaica.
Jamaica love, we wanna feel Jamaica love. Everybody want to visit Jamaica. Jamaica love, Jamaica. Jamaica love, Jamaica love. Welcome, 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 my loyal listeners, to the Advocate on Jam Talk Radio, streaming to you live at www.spreaker.com/loyal. How are you all? It has been some time since we have had a chat. It has been some time since you have heard my voice, and this is actually a delay. Even though it's live now, it is going to be a delayed broadcast because events have overtaken me being able to have a live conversation with you, which you all know I really, really love to do. It's again welcome this Sunday, beautiful Sunday, October the 9th, 2016. My name is Andria D. Whyte. You may follow me on Twitter at the Advocate Andria. You may also find me on Facebook at Andria D. Whyte JP. I'm on Instagram at I am Advocate Andria. Or you may also read my blog, my views on the economy, on crime, on justice, and on any legal matter, on good governance, on politics, on my blog. I am Andria D. Whyte's blog. WordPress. Listeners, we have a lot to talk about. We have a lot to review. Again, I would like to welcome all of you listening to me from the four corners of the earth. A special big up, of course, to my Jamaican listeners, to all of us in Jamaica, our beautiful island, which is why I do what I do, listeners. I do it for my love of Jamaica. So I'm going to quickly go over the news in review, the most current news in review, and then we're going to have a discussion. You know the format of the show. We have a discussion, we try and reason things out, we try and see if we can come to some consensus. We try and learn from each other, but at the end of the day we offer solutions. We offer solutions for the better governance of the affairs of our beautiful island Jamaica, as well as criticism when criticism is warranted for whichever government from whichever political party is in power, and we try and offer solutions, right? Because at the end of the day, it's action, not a bag of mouth. So first, I want to, of course, talk about Hurricane Matthew. Now, Hurricane Matthew was projected to hit Jamaica last week, Monday gone, going into Tuesday, which would have been the third, going in the third, between the 3rd, the 4th, and the 5th of October. It would have hit Jamaica as a Category 4 hurricane after it had claimed a life in St. Vincent, as the St. Vincent schoolboy had died, and it was supposed to dump a whole lot of rain. The projections, if it had held, was up to 25 inches of rain. We were spared, as you know, listeners. It veered and went on to Haiti to wreak havoc and destruction, where it claimed and counted 900 lives so far in Haiti alone. And of course we'll discuss Hurricane Matthew for farther down. It has now it made landfall in Florida, parts of Jackson, Florida, and North Carolina. I think it as a Category 2, but 4 persons so far have died, according to media reports, U.S. media reports, and a projected $6 billion in damage. And Matthew is still on his merry dance. I'd also like to also the funeral of Dominic James yesterday. Now, Dominic James was the former captain of the St. George's Football Manning Cup team, who collapsed 5 minutes into the game and died from what the medical authorities are now saying is a heart condition, a pre-existing heart condition. His funeral was yesterday on North Street, and several people from the divide, the political divide, as well as ordinary Jamaicans, the school fraternity, people from Flow, the intersecondary football competition officials were all there in their force to show support to the parents of Dominic James and to celebrate his life. Also, yesterday it was the funeral of the former Observer reporter Ingrid Brown, who died after a brief illness. The road listeners on Constant Spring Road, the parts of the road has collapsed because of a broken sewer main. I think the NWA said 20 feet down. The breakout is at almost in front of the former Globe furniture store. I don't know if you remember Globe, one of the casualties of FinSac. Thank you, Omar Davis. And the road has collapsed and raw sewage has been seeping through. And while that is happening, they're working, according to the Stephen Shaw, communication manager of the National Works Agency, working assiduously to try and fix it. So according to the National Work Agency, it should be finished tomorrow. Tomorrow again is the start of the work week, children going out to school, and that stretch of road is a major thoroughfare, and there's been massive traffic pile up. Somebody on Twitter said that it took her 1 hour and 25 minutes from Sugar and Spice on Red Hills Road to Calabar, which is also on Red Hills Road, which is just, a hop and a skip away, just because the traffic now cannot go on Constant Spring Road, so they're filtering onto other thoroughways. Also, this matter of crime is always unfortunately current. Even while Matthew was going on, a former popular footballer was chased down in Montego Bay and stabbed, and his throat slashed several times. He died. 2 persons in St. Mary has died from gun violence, and it continues, listeners. This business of crime continues. So that was a brief review of the news, the most recent news. So let us now launch into our discussion, and of course I want to start by talking about good governance. I want to start by talking about leadership, and I want to use that as an example of how prepared we were with Hurricane Matthew. So let's talk about Mr. Matthew first. Now, all of Jamaica, including myself, were on pins and needles, all well-thinking Jamaicans, and were worried because of Hurricane Matthew, because Hurricane Matthew was the projections from the National Hurricane Center, as well as our Met Service here in Jamaica, the National Hurricane Center in Atlanta, U.S. Atlanta, as well as our Met Service, was that Hurricane Matthew was on his way to Jamaica to wreak havoc and destruction. Now, the 3 most important things. We have to think about the Jamaican lives that would and could have been lost. That's the first thing. That's the most important thing. Then we have to acknowledge that Jamaica's housing stock, the infrastructure, not even the stock, Jamaica's housing infrastructure, while we have come a long way since the destruction of Hurricane Gilbert in 1988, right, cannot withstand a Category 3 or Category 4 hurricane. Remember, listeners, at one point, Sir Matthew went up to to a category 5. So if Hurricane Matthew had made landfall, it would have wreaked destruction and havoc on a lot of the zinc houses, a lot of the squatter settlements that we have in Jamaica, especially in parts of Kingston and St. Andrew, right? St. Thomas, St. Mary, and Portland. And the third thing is, listeners, our economy is just on its way to growth. Staten released the latest growth figure that the economy from June to October grew by 1.6%. Now, if the economy can keep growing per quarter or every 3 months by 2%, I'll take 1.5. That's 6% in 1 year. That would be unheard of for every Jamaican under 30 years old. For every Jamaican, I dare say. Right, for every Jamaican under 30 years old. Not since the Jamaican government was in power the Jamaica Labour Party was in power under Eddie Seaga, would we have seen measurable growth felt in the lives and the pockets of the average Jamaican. So Hurricane Matthew, the potential for damage was real and present. Right? Now, what did the government do? As any good government, showing fantastic leadership, showing fantastic leadership would have done, they rose to the occasion. I am one Jamaican who is very proud to say that I'm glad that we have a Prime Minister who is proactive. I'm glad that we have a Prime Minister who leads from the front, but also recognizes that he has a fantastic team, and we all work together, because across the board, except for some misguided or most misguided comrades, the Jamaican government, led by Andrew Holness, the JLP administration, right, did a fantastic job of preparing Jamaicans for the onslaught of Hurricane Matthew. And while we praise God, and for those of us who praise Jehovah, God, whoever, Yahweh, whoever we praise, right? Allah, whoever. For those of us who subscribe to a higher power, as I do, right? We thank God that Matthew did not come and didn't damage Jamaica the way that the projections had said, the scientific projections had said. But a lot of Jamaicans were upset. A lot of Jamaicans said, Matthew not coming. There are people in Port Royal who did not heed the government's call to evacuate, and when the government sent JUTC buses, only 4 people went on the buses. Only 4 people. No, if Hurricane Matthew had hit Jamaica the way it was projected, a lot of people in Port Royal, I want to put to you listeners, would have died. Houses would have been blown down because it is coming from the ocean. There's no hills. There's no hill to buffer the wrath and fury that Hurricane Matthew, the wrath and fury of the winds that Hurricane Matthew would have brought 145 miles per hour. Right? And there are people who are saying how they make them spend up their money and no Matthew no come and where is Matthew? And I'm saying to myself, is it that Jamaicans is it that we are a special kind of thick-headedness? Have we seen what is happening in Haiti? Have we seen the death and destruction that Hurricane Matthew has brought to Haiti? Do we understand what could have happened? You can never be over-prepared for a hurricane. And another thing, listeners, that we need to appreciate is that this prediction of predicting hurricane and predicting the weather and predicting natural disasters, it's not a natural science. So you get some projections and then you make assumptions based on previous behavior. But it is not a natural science where you say that if you mix blue and red, you get green. And why green? Let me segue. Nice segue, like, right, listeners? Sandra Faulkner, the aide to the opposition leader and former Prime Minister, and she was also the aide when she was Prime Minister, Portia Simpson Miller, as well as a communication consultant, right, wrote on her Facebook the following. I don't even want to, let me just paraphrase. Basically, Sandra Faulkner, media consultant, aide to the opposition minister, the opposition leader, who is also herself Ms. Sandra Faulkner, a former information minister under the previous administration, said that the Prime Minister, she put up a posting on her Facebook, and she put a picture of the Prime Minister, Andrew Holness. Now, Andrew Holness was in full preparation mode as the leader of Jamaica's affairs. We elected him to lead our affairs, to make sure that our interests are always in furthermost in his mind, and always that he always acts in the best interest of the Jamaican people. He was in a cap. He was in a green cap. He had on, clothes, I guess. And she made a point. She made a posting on her, because that's not a point. She made a posting that it looked like, is the Prime Minister acting as the Prime Minister for Jamaica? Is Andrew Holness acting as the Prime Minister for Jamaica, or the leader of the JLP? Because she's saying he has on a green cap, and it looks like it's a PR exercise, that he's out for a PR exercise for Jamaica, and shake my head, and we need to do better, and some other nonsense. No, I'm sure most Jamaicans know about this. I want to make 2 points and then move on. Right? Because I'm not going to spend much time on nonsense, because she was saying she don't want foolishness to go out there. But she has done what she says she doesn't want to happen. She, by her own actions. The first thing, as a former information minister, the first thing you do is you make sure, not even information minister, just listeners, especially on when you're doing communications. Remember, she's a communication consultant. She says, the first thing you do, listeners, is make sure you have all the facts. If you don't have all the facts, make a general comment, but try not to be too specific. Now, if Sandra Faulkner had not been so enraged with the color green and all that it is simplified and all that it symbolizes, the beauty of the earth, the freshness of the greenery, if she had not been so upset about that color green, and so hell bent on being the worst kind of political tribalism that you can think of, she would have appreciated that the dominant color in the flag of the Jamaican flag is green. She would have looked at the hat, and she would have seen that it says Jamaica in black, which is another color in our beautiful beloved flag. She would have seen that a little map of Jamaica, flag of was on the hat, right? And she would have seen that it is a hat that is sold at any one of the stores that sell Jamaican paraphernalia, because it is the colors of the Jamaican flag. So in her haste to be political and not even just political, to be tribal and to be sloppy in her thinking, she rushed ahead, right? And put up this foolish nonsense post. Well, let me tell you something. Social media was not having it. They did give it to her, and rightly so, including one advocate, Andria, which is my Twitter handle on Twitter. Right, listeners? Now, let's move on from that foolishness and go back to Hurricane Matthew. I want to thank the government of Jamaica. I want to thank all the agencies, the Ministry of Local Government, headed by the Minister Desmond McKenzie, for his leadership and steady-handedness in this. The shelters were prepared. People knew where to go. There was constant update on Facebook and on TV and on the radio via JIS. I want to thank Oddpen for their sterling leadership. I want to thank every single ministry, every single Jamaican. I want to thank the JDF and the Jamaica Constabulary Force, who were out in their numbers to make sure that we were safe and that there wasn't any looting. Right? I want to thank the media, who kept us informed constantly about what was going on via social media, via the radio, via television. I want to thank every single Jamaican who prepared, who understood I'm sorry, listeners, I'm just, excuse me, I'm just recovering from a bad bout of the flu, and my voice now seems to be going. But I want to thank every single Jamaican who understood the respect that we need to treat this kind of all natural potential disasters with, but Hurricane Matthew in particular. And I want to thank everybody who went above and beyond. Some people who didn't go home until the danger had passed, to ensure that the interests of Jamaicans were front and foremost, and to ensure that the Jamaican people were kept informed. I want to also say something to you foolish, misguided Jamaicans among us who think that the hurricane now come and going to spend up on the money for foolishness. Don't do it. Don't think like that. If you now cost about want to buy, send it to food for the poor and to Oddpem, because they will send it over to Haiti. Haiti is suffering, right? Towns have been decimated. There is no town. Wiped out, people wiped out, bridges, infrastructure. Remember, Haiti has a bad deforestation. So they don't have any trees on the hills to buffer any wind, and the landslides that come down, because they have to cut down the trees to use as heating, to warm themselves, to cook with, but also to sell, to burn to the trees to make coal as a livelihood. Now there are basically no more trees, and it was going to take a generation, if at all possible, for it to come back, because I saw a video of the deforestation, the total deforestation of the Haitian hills. I'm a member of the Jamaica Environment Trust, and I remember we had shown that some years ago So when people are talking about how when any little rain hit Haiti, and a wicked nonsense. It's a casebook example of what weak government or no government structure, corruption, right, and environmental damage does to a country. Haiti is a textbook example, which is why, listeners, we need to make sure we take care of the environment. But I digress, and let me go back on message, on point. Before I wrap up Hurricane Matthew, I want to reach out to my loyal listeners. Do me a beg or no. Even if it's $1,000, you have a little $1,000. I know it is difficult. I know it is challenging. Just reach out and send a little money to ODPEM, because they would prefer to get the cash, because it's then easier to buy what they want. You understand what I mean? To send to Haiti. The government has announced via Kamina Johnson-Smith in the Senate on Friday, our leader of government business in the Senate and our foreign affairs minister announced that the government has sent support via the JDF to support teams to Haiti and to Cuba, I think it is, or the Bahamas, right? So listeners, anything you have, may I beg you, please spare a thought for Haiti. Cuba, Matthew came, wrecked, nobody died, thank God, but wreaked havoc on Cuba, mash up one town, just flatten it, went on his merry way, right? He went to the Bahamas, the islands of the Bahamas, dumped some rains, then he went on to the US. Now, the last media report is that, because I just got an update, is that 5 persons have so far died. There's a projected $6 billion worth of damage thanks to Hurricane Matthew. Right? 900 people alone, and counting in Haiti have died. And this is the thing that Jamaicans are disappointed did not come. You know what? We need to understand ourselves. We need to sit down, think before we talk, and understand ourselves. Right? So I just beg you, do. Please, may I beg you, whatever you can spare, just whatever you can spare, just send it to the ODPEM or the ministry or Food for the Poor. Even $1,000. You must say, but what my little $1,000 can do? It can do a lot. It can buy some tin food. And I know my Jamaicans. Boy, I'm a lover. I know my Jamaicans, and I know that you guys will help where you can. A $1,000, a $500. Do me a beg on. It is not too small. Right? I want to talk about, listeners, as we're talking about Hurricane Matthew. I've gone off that subject, but I want to talk about the environment a little, and I want to talk about a private member's motion that was brought to the Senate by JLP Senator Matthew Samuda, who is also the president of G2K, about banning styrofoam packaging, and it was carried. They are now setting up a consultative committee comprising opposition and government senators, as well as interest groups, environment interest groups, people from manufacturing, those sorts of interest groups. And a lot of people were saying, oh, the drain not clean, this drain not clean, whatever. And somebody sent me a picture of the drains in Doheny Park, New Haven, to be specific, where the sitting MP is Anthony Hilton. And they wanted to say, where they wanted me to find out if it is too late for now for the gully to be cleaned, and who can I call to help. And I said, listen to me. You know what, Jamaicans? We need to become activists. And when I say activist, I don't mean political activist. I mean Jamaican activist. Right? You have an MP who, when you look on the drain look like it has not been cleaned since it was built. The gully look like it has not been cleaned since it was been built under Bustamante government back in the 60s, when my parents did not even know about my existence. Were my parents even born? Yes, they were. They were children. Right? And they used to cuss us and call us gully government. It looked like it hasn't been cleaned since then. And you sit down, don't even think about hurricane. Think about the hurricane season where we get rains between June and September in Jamaica. And you sit down, right? And you reward your MPs, Hilton, right? Well, make sure you said it right. Yes, Anthony Hilton, him, right? You continue to reward his mismanagement of your affairs, non-performance of your affairs. You keep rewarding it by voting for him, and then you talk about you want the gully to be cleaned. No, man, no. Do better than that. Do better than that, listeners. If your MP, be it JLP or PNP, don't act in your best interest, vote them out. There is no room for his PNP time now, right? There is no room for my bond PNP, my vote PNP, my bond JLP, my vote JLP. No. You vote for performance. You vote for how best your MP, your political representative, articulate your interest, right? Push your interest, act in your best interest, and grow your little community. That is what you vote for. Good governance, which is why I am a member of the Jamaica Labour Party, right? No. Listeners, come closer. Listen, I have something to tell you now. Come, I want to whisper. Come here. A holy power with too nasty. We too damn nasty. Right? You in a bus or your car. You eat something, you fling it outside. You dump whatever you want to dump in the gullies. It's like, are we animals? Is only animal me know any which part them eat and defecate? They leave it there and walk off. We're not animals. We're the highest form of being. You're telling me that you drink a bag juice, and after you drink it, if you don't see a receptacle, you can't get a bag, tie it up, and walk with the bag until you find a receptacle? You just drop it a dirty same way, so? And then when it reaching at the gully and the rivers, you wonder why a little rain and we flood out? A little rain fell the other day, prelude to Hurricane Matthew, and the whole of Marcus Garvey Drive flood out. People had to leave their vehicles. I saw a little video of this lady leaving her vehicle and the water moved the vehicle. The only reason why the water never washed the vehicle is because it moved it into the path of another vehicle and hitch up beside each other. We're too damn nasty. It has to stop. My God, you tell me, say, you drink a bigger soda, right? And you eat a patty. You walk and you eat it. And as it done, you just drop it and go along, so? And you think that's okay? I mean, I want to hear about paying our taxes. That is nonsense. Right? It cannot continue. Because all that is going to happen is we're going to spend valuable resources, right? All we're going to do is spend valuable resources to keep cleaning the gullies, when those resources could go into our health system, into fighting crime, into increasing our justice, increasing justice, increasing courtrooms. Damn nasty. I'm sorry. We have to do better, Jamaicans. Jamaica. Look how my country pretty. Look how Jamaica rich and lush and beautiful. Why we are dirty up Jamaica? Why? God gave us this island, right? He gave us on trust. What that means is that we hold it. We hold it on credit. We take it and we take care of it on credit for the next generation. The next generation, they take it, they have it on credit, and they take care of it the best way possible for the next generation. Right? We cannot continue like that. And me no want hear say, oh, you know, say no garbage. Keep it in a bag until you see a garbage bin. No, I heard the Minister of Local Government, under whose purview the solid waste management falls, say two things, and I want to applaud him for that. He said, one, he will be bringing to Parliament, to Cabinet, to be signed off, harsher penalties for all of you nasty litterbugs out there. Right? Now, also, what he acknowledges and I support is that the most effective deterrence is enforcement. Right? So what I had suggested something, and I see that the minister is following along those lines, is that, you see, if you litter, hefty fine. Right? Hefty me talk about like $10,000. So you throw down a bag juice that costs what, $50, $20, $20, $30. You fling down a bag juice on the ground, on the streets of Jamaica, anywhere, right? Or dump a banana peel through your window, or throw something in the gully, and you're seen by the authorities, you get a fine. Yes, fine him $10,000, government of Jamaica. Yes, fine the nasty litter bug. $10,000 for the $30 bag juice what you throw down. And you see, if you can't pay it, you rob a 6 months. Rob a 6 months in jail. You see, let me tell you something. You see, as soon as this happens a couple of times and you make sure that you publicize it, so that everybody is aware and then realize a serious thing, you will get the message. Trust me, we will get the message. We cannot continue on this vein of dirtying up Jamaica, right? When you go up on the sidewalk, when you're looking at the gully, it's sick stomach. Come on, Jamaicans, we can do better. We must do better. And I'm not preaching it. Listen, the environment is something that I hold very, very dear to my heart. We have to have a Jamaica to live in. If we dirty it up, where we're going to live? It's not, somehow we can't go to America, you know. The cold, or England or Canada, the cold, not nice. Right? So we have to take care of our island home. Another thing that I see, the minister has said is that several receptacles have been placed strategically throughout parts of the island. But what I'm going to advance, listeners, and I want you to push it to, is recycling. It must be mandatory that households, let's start with households. Households, you separate the waste. So what happens is that you have, and we have to start somewhere. So say you have you have a black container for garbage. So garbage, you buy a black container, a plastic container for garbage, right? And then you have a blue container for recycling. And notice I don't say green because I don't want Sandra Faulkner see the garbage recycling bins them on the road and go attack them, right? All right, graffiti on it. Even though green is the color of the earth and really, but let's use blue because, we wanted to spare Sandra Faulkner's sensibilities. Anyways, listeners, back to serious matters. You put recycling on it. The recycling, it's a universal sign for recycling. You put that on it and you put plastic bottles only. You have a decal on it, plastic bottles. So what happens is, excuse me, listeners, what happens is the garbage truck, maybe, I haven't really looked, but I will look the next time. I don't know if the garbage truck that comes to collect, if it has like 3 sections. I know the newer ones you have one big in the middle and then you have on either side, or it's parted in 2. You collect garbage on one side, you collect recycling on one side. So what you do is you get, the plastic bags that we should be banning, and that's one of the things that Senator Samuda's motion wants to ban. Those same plastic bags, you put your bottles, your plastic bottles in those bags, tie it up and put it in the blue container. So you don't just throw the you don't just throw the plastic in there. You put it in a plastic bag, right? So plastic out. They come, they collect it. If you, in defiance, do not, defiance or not, because it's not about intent now. We have to be strict about certain laws, right? If you put your plastic waste in the same receptacle, the black receptacle, like the garbage, then fine you. They fine you. Fine you $5,000, $10,000. I'm here and if you don't pay it, you're rubber 3 months. I'm here to tell you, listeners, once it is enforced, I'm here to tell you, in no short order, we'll have a robust recycling and waste management system in Jamaica. And I go further and applaud the minister for saying that, listen, we need to revisit how the National Solid Waste Management, how it operates. Because it is both a regulatory body and it collects waste. Now, my own submission is that you remove the regulation from National Solid Waste, put it to NEPA, right? So don't create a third agency. Let National Solid Waste Management collect solid waste, manage solid waste, but then what you do, listeners, is that you excuse me. Wow, this is really bad, listeners. My cough. But what you do is NEPA now is the one that would excuse me. NEPA is the one that would do the, I lost my train of thought. NEPA is the one that would regulate. Of course, you would have to, revisit how NEPA is structured and all of that. But that's what we have to do. That's what I submit we should do. Let the National Solid Waste Management collect waste, do what they're supposed to do, and you know, and NEPA now be the regulating agency. That is what I submit would be the better approach. So Senator Matthew Samuda, Senator Matthew Samuda in the Senate on Friday put forward a private member's motion basically saying that we should ban all plastic bags under, I think it was 50 kg. It escapes me right now, listeners, as well as styrofoam containers. Now, we have to talk about it because clearly, in my mind, we have no need for, the plastic bags that you go to Mega Mart and you go to supermarket and get. I remember when my mother used to go to the market and I used to follow her. She had her market bag. She had 2 market bags, and that's what she used to carry the stuff. Right? So I don't understand now. Everywhere you look, it's plastic bags. They clog up the drains. They take like 500 years or some ridiculous amount of time to break down, and they're not good for the environment by no stretch of the imagination. Similarly, styrofoam, the same containers, listeners, that you get your box food in. They take 500. Now, this is beyond dispute. They take 500 years to break down. One container. Most of them are manufactured in Jamaica. Now we can't, obviously, I believe in sustainable environmental development. You have heard me talk about it before on my show, on social media, on my blog. And what this means, listeners, is that we have to protect the environment, but we have to do it while we're protecting the environment, we also have to understand that we have to live, we have to create jobs. So how do we do it? How do we protect the environment whilst creating jobs, whilst growing the economy? So that's what we call sustainable economic development, right? We do it in a way that does minimal damage to the environment, because there's certain things that unfortunately will damage the environment, but that does minimal damage to the environment, but will create jobs. So we have to think about the the cook shop. That is what he uses to put his food in, the food man. We have to think about the manufacturing companies who manufacture these kind of packaging. And we have to say, is there a better way? Can we do it another way? Is there something else that can be replaced? So I'm going to be following this one to replace the styrofoam packaging. So I'm going to be following this, listeners, closely, because I want to know what the committee comes up with, the consultative committee. I would want to make sure that they hurry up, because at the end of the day, we have to protect our environment. We have to protect our beautiful island. And I'll give you an example of what is not in my mind sustainable environmental practices. The other day, sometimes I wonder about local government, and I'd want to talk about local government or later down. But sometimes I wonder about local government, and I wonder about the thinking behind some of the decisions that our councillors make. Right? Now, recently, the KCC approved, I don't even know if it's legal for them to approve a parking lot. I'm trying to get it on the Jamaica Environment website, because this just doesn't make any sense to me. but a parking lot, a park, yes. I was trying to bring it up, listeners. I had it in my notes, but I can't find it now. But the gist of it is that there's a park, a community park in one of our communities. I think it's in Doheny Park, and there's also a gaming. I just found it, listeners. I just found it. Dunrobin Park. Well, I got the D right. Okay, so I'm going to read something. I'm going to read parts of an article that was done by Picheri's blog, and Picheri's blog is written by Emma Lewis. She is an environmentalist. She's also a noted social media blogger. She's also a noted social media blogger, and she writes, there are many issues affecting our cities these days. One critical one is green spaces, the essence of healthy, sustainable cities. And I agree with that, listeners. We must have somewhere to escape to. I dare to say that a lot of the domestic violence we have is that a lot of us are packed up on top of each other like sardines. We live in a tenement yard. We have no escape. We don't have a little community park to go to, somewhere where we can sit down and hold our meds, kick back and relax, chill with your girl, talk over things of the week, de-stress, you know what I mean? Just take off some of the stress and some of the crosses off of you. We don't have a lot of those places, right? Our city of Kingston is sadly lacking, Picheri blog, right? Emma writes, in public spaces where people can relax and enjoy a little bit of nature and where children can safely play. The more fortunate among us have nice green yards, but we're talking about a community park tended by residents, which has been taken over by a local gaming lounge and bar to use as a parking lot. Are you listening to me? So there is now a community lot that is owned by the KCC. Remember, the KCC acts on behalf of, or ought to act in the interest of the Jamaican people, not in the interest of a business. Now, this this private enterprise, what may I tell you, say? Sometimes, as I say, listeners, I wonder, this private enterprise has taken over the community park, the community park that the community has tended and loved in Dunrobin, has taken it over and has been using it to park cars. Can you believe it? A private enterprise who, when they were doing their business plan, should have contemplated where they were going to put, they should have contemplated as a part of their planning, clearly, where their customers are going to park. That's not my business. But KCC, in their wisdom, I don't know, have said that, listen, it can be used. They obtained a lease on the property from the 1st of February 2016. Can you imagine that? So the KCC leased, knowing it was a park, it's a community park, leased it to the principals of macaw. Isn't macaw a bird? And isn't that, or a play on a bird that is endangered? The irony of these things are just mind-boggling. KCC gave a lease, right? They went to KCC and KCC gave them a lease, right? As of the 1st of February 2016. The PNP-controlled KCC thought it fit to give them a lease, Madam Mayor Angela Brownberg? Oh, I don't. Yes, so under the lease, listeners, part of the community park has been fenced off by macaw. They cut down the trees. They cover part of it with asphalt. And the remaining grass has been trampled and has started to die. In response to the outcry of the community members, KCC has taken the position that the park should be shared between the community and Macaw, the gambling company. According to a release by KCC's legal officer on the 26th of August 2016, the KCC's legal officer stated that the term park can be widely interpreted to include parking lot. Wow. This lawyer has skills though. She has interpreted park to include a parking lot. So, now listeners, I don't know of any park with beautiful trees and flowers and fauna and flora where you can go park your car. I mean, logically. So I guess this lawyer seems to be reaching. Boy, she's really earning her money. Right? And, I want you listeners to understand. I want you to appreciate how important this is, because clearly, in my mind, this lease that the KCC has given to Macaw cannot be in the best interest of the people of Dunrobin. So, and let us be clear, the principals of the same gaming company business have been trying to get them to lease for years, trying to persuade them to use them as a parking area. And because they refused, they went to KCC. And KCC, instead of consulting with the citizens, went ahead and granted a lease on the 1st of February to Macaw Gaming Lounge. Now, this hurts me. Think about your community. Let us use the community of Raytown. Why Raytown? I love Raytown. I love the fact that it's by the sea. I love the little communityness, the oneness. There's a lot of infrastructure problem. There's a lot of social problems that need to be righted. I think that the JLP will be fielding the former councillor of Raytown, Rosie, in the next local government elections. I hope she wins. If there's anything I can do to offer my support, I will. And I want to see a real development of Raytown in a real way. Right? But let's use Raytown because I like the fish. You can go and you get fish and nice vibes. I remember used to go and have party Raytown. And so I want to use Raytown. And so the community come together. For 20 years now, the community has come together. And it takes them a long time. But they have a patch of land owned by the KCC. But remember, even though the KCC owns it, by right, they own it in trust to Jamaica. To Jamaicans, to the people of Jamaica. So they not just own it, so. In my mind. Right? So, say for over 20 years, the people, 25 years, the people of Raytown, you listener, Mr. Man from Raytown, Miss Lady from Raytown, listeners, listen to me. And replace Raytown with your community. And for over 25 years, you get together, you get a children's play set, you maintain a lawn, you plant trees, you erect a fence around the property, you plant flowers, you have maybe a little water feature, man go there with him girl, two young teenagers go and, they hold hands, you have maybe a little park bench, children can run up and down safely in that community park, and take care of it, right? Take care of it. And then only to hear that a company that has been wanting for years now to get you to release the place, has now gotten it from the KCC. Now, listeners, I don't know about you, but I can't say how this can stand. Where is the outcry? I want to know. I know Jamaica Environment Trust, and let me declare, I've been a member of Jamaica Environment Trust from I was a teenager, and longer than I've been a member of any other organization. I've been a member any other civic organization. I've been a member of the Jamaica Environment Trust. Right? And I want to say to you, listeners, that this cannot be allowed to stand. The business should have done their due diligence and gotten somewhere else. Buy property somewhere else and turn it into a parking lot. The asphalt over the place. Can you imagine? So now your little Susie or little Johnny has no place to go and play. No, man. No, KCC needs to answer to this. KCC has to answer to this. I need to know what the thinking is behind it. And then they're talking about they leased it on the petition based on a petition from the community. Lie. Where's the petition? Show me the petition and show me the evidence of those who sign. Lie. Lie. Right? Listeners, I tell you, this is something that I'll be following. I will keep you updated on it because something just must smell right. And in the environment, everything must smell good. Something about this whole deal does not smell right. So, as I say, I support Senator Matthew Samuda's motion that he placed in the Senate, private motion he placed in the Senate on Friday. I do believe that plastic bags should be banned in Jamaica. I do believe that if you're going to the supermarket, you have your 2 crocus bag there. Yeah, and you know what what will happen to? There will be a business in Jamaica that or several, 1, 2, 3, 4, that manufactures crocus bags, and people will get jobs. Jobs will be created. Instead of these nasty plastic things that all it does is harm the environment. So if you're going to the supermarket, you carry your 4 bags then. Carry them with you. They're sturdier than the plastic bags, especially if you have to take the bus. So you go to the supermarket, you get your 2 bags then, you pack up what you have to pack up in there and you move on. Ban them. Ban them, ban them, ban them. And styrofoam now, what are we, the question is, yes, I support the ban, but the question is, what are we going to replace it with? Because I have to be practical, and I would like to think I'm pragmatic, right? What are we going to replace it with? So that is why, as I say, I will be watching to see how this plays out, and I will keep you abreast, listeners. Listeners, I also want to quickly touch on something that caught my attention in today's Observer, front page on the Observer, where Observer Online, actually, I didn't get a chance to read the paper, where a vicious dog attack on a toddler. So this 4-year-old little boy, he was 4 at the time, he's now 5, and his 2-year-old sister. They were going. They and their mother. They were leaving their homes to go to school early one morning, and she said that she stepped off, with her toddlers. Mrs. Chin, her name is. And when she stepped off, she noticed that the gate was open to her neighbor's house, and she saw her neighbor's 2 pit bulls. She passed them, and she said as she passed them, she heard them rushing. So she pushed her children, as most mothers, any mother would do, push her children behind her, because she says she don't want, she'll fend off, the attack. She was no match for an adult pit bull. Have you seen a pit bull? Right? So the 2 pit bulls rush her, and went straight for her 4-year-old toddler. Listeners, I have a 4-year-old toddler. I cannot imagine the horror that woman experienced, but she's an adult, even more horrific for the children. And she said the woman, come out and tell her to move from our gate. And she said, don't you see the dogs attacking me? Attacking my children? Help me. And she's screaming for help. And the dog dragged the little boy, and were on the little boy and shaking him like a rag doll. Listeners, and she screamed out for help, and she said the lady just go back in her house. You hear what I say? The owners of the dog just go back in our house. Right? No, she said a man came and tried to help. The dog shake him off and push him over and went back on the little boy. The 2 dogs attacking a 4-year-old baby. She said eventually some people come and help, and she said when she on her way, somebody carried it in a car, and she had to be holding the baby's throat. I want you to read by an observer and read it, listeners. Right? Mrs. Chin said she had to be holding the baby's her son's throat, because the dog bite his throat. You can see the wound, right? And she said there's a spinal injury because they bite him on his back, and he's not talking. It's like there's some damage to his vocal cords. She has spent $400,000 already to try and save in medical bills, to try and save her son's life. He's at the Bustamante Children's Hospital, and she has received no kind of support with the medical bills from the owner of the dog. None. Right? And when she got to the police said that this is a civil matter. It cannot be a civil matter. It cannot be, because in any well-functioning country, what would happen is they would come for the dog would be put down, and the owner would be cited, and the owner would be in serious trouble. So it cannot be, listeners, that there is no law. It cannot be that the police tell her that her child was almost killed, and it is now a civil matter. Listeners, if you want to help, you can donate to a BNS Bank of Nova Scotia Ligonier branch account. The account number is 90365. That's 90365. Or you can go to GoFundMe at www.gofundme.com. You can also /2R6H5R8. You can also contact Miss Chin by misschin56@gmail.com. Miss Chin, MISSCHIN56@gmail.com. Listeners, this could have happened to me. It could have happened to you. It could have happened to any one of us. walking along our merry way, minding our own business. And what is horrific to me is that the owner of the dog just went back inside while our dog is out there mauling to death a baby. Right, listeners? you know, I as I say, this is what happens when government does not work. Because in any well-functioning governance structure of any country that is well governed and well run, what would happen is animal control would come for those dogs. They would be put down. The owner would be cited for prosecution. So I don't know how this is not just a civil matter. Right? Anyways, listeners, let's move on. Let us move on. I would want to talk. Remember, I had said that yesterday was the funeral of footballer, the former St. George's captain Dominic James, who collapsed and died 5 minutes into a Manning Cup game against Excelsior. And I do know that the government has said, the Minister of Health, as well as the Minister of Health, Dr. Christopherson, as well as the Minister of Education, Senator Rod Reed, had said that they were putting together a committee to examine, I guess, medical reports on students involved in any kind of sporting activities across the island. Now, Dominic was buried yesterday. I do not even want to imagine the pain. I cannot imagine the pain that his family is going through now, especially his parents. He was an only child. And something bright, something meaningful must come out of his untimely death. Right? And I suggest that, which I've suggested before, that the government make it mandatory that for students who are going to be undertaking any kind of physical activity must get a full checkup. Now, where is this going to come from? Obviously, this costs money. We have to look into it. Can we do something where the parents pay part, the government pays part? Can we do something where sponsors of some of these competition like Flow and Red Stripe, these companies can make a contribution? But this young man, this bright leader, this fantastic Jamaican son, right, had a pre-existing heart condition according to the autopsy report that was not captured in any kind of cursory physical examination. And I do know that, I think it's Denmark, if my memory serves me correctly, it is mandatory. And what the studies show is that deaths went down from a high of something like 250 per year, something like that, or within the period to 2. So clearly it works, because there are some of us walking around with things going on in our bodies that we don't know about. A lot of us now have the money to do a proper checkup. We really should do a proper checkup every year, physical. It's just by the grace of God, that we're walking around. And the good yam and Jamaican yam, dumpling and banana, right? That we're walking around. The green with the fruits, the color, load the cabbage, that we're walking around by the grace of God. And we don't know what's going on in our bodies. So I think that by the end of November, I expect a report from the Ministry of Education, and I expect a position. I think that is long enough. I don't think you need to exhaust it ad nauseum. I don't think it is anything that is beyond the capability of any Jamaican to come up with a policy and implement it. Right? also my first love, Justice. Do you remember the schoolboy, the KC schoolboy, Khalil Mays, who was killed, was shot by a businessman some years ago? Does anybody remember? His sister wrote, I think it was on her Facebook page, passionate plea to the authorities to bring closure to her family. Now, for those of you who would forget, I don't know how you can, but for those of you who would forget, he was on his way to school in a taxi, and apparently the report said the taxi bad drive him, and bad drive one businessman, Mr. Roberts, and he came out. The businessman came out and pumped some shots in the vehicle and killed him. Killed the schoolboy. This case has been languishing in the court for years now. And the reason? No courtrooms. There's no space. There's nowhere to there is nowhere to put it. Right? So this KC student, oh boy, I tell you, see, this KC, Kingston College student, right? It happened in 2011. My math, boy, may I tell you, my math is not good. So 2011, we're in 2016, 5 years, right? He was shot dead because he was a passenger in a taxi which collided with Mr. Powell's BMW X6. Patrick Powell is the name. And every time it comes up for mention, every time, it has been put off because there's no courtroom space. That is, you know what? Listen to me. Listen to me, Minister of Justice. I want you to understand something. I have a brother. He's my one brother. And I'm here to tell you that if the person who it is alleged that shoot my brother in the prime, not even the prime of his life, because he's still a youth, right? And I walk around on bail free, I would be beyond incensed, which is why a lot of people take things in their own hand. Because justice delayed is justice denied. We need to find some closure for the people, for the family of Khalil. We need to find, the Mays family needs to find closure. Come on, man. Come on. You're telling me that you can't go down to the conference center and use the conference center to try the case? 5 years after, Minister of Nash, yes, you weren't there at the time, but you're there now. And I feel her pain, and I'm sure all of Jamaica feels her pain. You know, listener, you have your son. You send him to school. The youth do well. Him in a taxi I go school. And because the taxi collide with a motorist, the man come out and pull him gun and shoot the youth and kill him. Shoot your son. No, and after 5 years, it keeps putting off. Which is why a lot of people think that they can do things with impunity and get away with it because the system is broken and the system does not work. Well, Mr. Prime Minister Andrew Holness, it is up to your administration to fix it. I don't want to hear about there are no resources. Go rent somewhere. Find somewhere down a conference center, rent conference center and say, you know what? I'm going to there's some backlog of cases that really need to be sorted out. We're going to rent 4 rooms and try 4 cases. The 4 cases, if everything is in order, all the paperwork, all the case files and everything, should reasonably take 3 weeks. 3 weeks, 4 cases. 3 into 52 is what? Wanna help the listeners. 3 into 5 is 1. 1. 3 into 5 is 1. You carry the 2, 24, 18 cases. 18 cases would have been dispensed with. That would not have been dispensed with before. Right? Right? From one courtroom. If you do 4 by 18, call it, round it off to 80. Right? 80 cases in 1 year. I hope my math is correct. Yes. If you do 4 cases and it's 8 for 80, it takes 3 weeks, say I have 18 weeks. 18 by 4 is, yes, it's almost 80 cases. Come on. We need to find creative ways to deal with the backlog of cases in the courts. But the family of the not just the Mays family, but the family of all those who have cases languishing, who need a sense of closure, and for the victim's family, and a sense of a feeling of justice. Right? And also a signal to the wider Jamaican public that, listen, if you do something, you will be charged, you will be caught, you will be swiftly brought to justice, and if a jury of your peers find you guilty, you go jail. That brings legitimacy to the justice system, and the justice system has none right now. Well, little, I wouldn't say none, but little. Come on, listeners. Where is the justice for the Jamaicans who, say them kill your father, your brother, your sister, they rape your sister, your mother? And for years now, you keep going back to court. They put it off. You keep seeing this person. And every time you see this person, it's like it opens up the wounds again. How can you heal? And which is why a lot of us are walking around with a lot of stress and a lot of anger and a lot of frustration. We have to fix it. It has to be fixed. And while I say that, something interesting, earlier last week we heard that there was a murder at a prominent attorney's home, Patrick Bailey. And his caretaker was found with stab wounds and a gunshot wound to the head. According to the reports, the goodly lawyer was the only person in the house at the time, but he told the police, this is the preliminary, I'm just going by what I read, listeners, that he was in his room and he did not hear anything and he did not see anything. Subsequent now, the lawyer, Patrick Bailey, his pressure has gone up, and he is now in doctor's care in the hospital. I'm going to just ask 2 questions. 2 questions and leave it. And leave you listeners to sit down, reason it out and draw your own conclusions. First thing. If Patrick Bailey was John Public from Fletcher's Land, and he and another person, the person who is murdered, were the only ones in the house, would he not have been interrogated already by the police? Would he have been using the reason, or let me frame the question another way. Would the fact that his pressure has gone up be reason for for police not to interrogate said John Public from Fletcher's Land? 1. 2. Is it plausible? Okay. Let me phrase this another way, question another way also. Given the detectives from the JCF's extensive knowledge of murder and crime scene, and is it plausible for them to not to accept that the Patrick Bailey knows nothing, saw nothing, heard nothing, and again not bring him in for questioning if he was John Public from Fletcher's Land? I don't know, listeners. I don't have the answers. I leave you to draw your own conclusions, right? But what I want to say in closing this segment is that justice should be for all. Justice should be, everybody should be subjected to the same justice system. Yes, you may be able to afford a more prominent lawyer, and you may be able to afford to get experts to testify on your behalf. But during the investigative process, doing incarceration, all of those, going to court, we all should be subjected to the same rules and procedures. I don't know if this was followed in Patrick Bailey's case. I await more and better particulars to see. But I will say that at the end of the day, the Jamaican justice system must be able to stand up to the highest standards of rigorous scrutiny, for it to be legitimate and for people to continue to have confidence in it, and for it to continue to appear to be credible. Listeners, I want to thank you for being with me today. You know, I always end with talking about personal accountability and personal responsibility. You are a Jamaican. I am a Jamaican. And with that gift that God has given us to be Jamaican, comes certain responsibilities. You can't just live so. You can't just dash down your garbage anywhere you feel like. You can not contribute to your fair share of taxes. You cannot be bribing the police, right, to get out of ticket, and hide when you're supposed to sit on jury. That's not how a well-governed functioning country operates. I know that you love Jamaica. I know that you want the best for Jamaica. So I want you to sit down and say, what can I do in my corner of my community to make Jamaica a better place? It doesn't have to be anything big. You cannot just not throw away the garbage on the road. That alone. If they call you for jury duty, say, present, miss, front and center. You can learn a lot about the justice system. And guess what? You, by going and being available to be a jury, to sit on a jury, can also aid in fixing the justice system in Jamaica. When you're speeding and you know you're speeding, or you know your documents not straight, right? Don't bribe the policeman. Because by bribing, you are contributing to corruption. Not do it. Take your ticket. Just don't speed. And make sure your documents them straight. Just do the right thing. Trust me. You know, Mr. Businessman, that the government needs the taxes to pave the roads for our health system, or to fight crime, for justice, education, just to govern the country. Right? And instead of paying your taxes, you upgrade your 2015 BMW to a 2017. We're not even, we just come out. No. Pay your taxes. Everybody must pay their fair share. We need to work together so that Jamaica can really be the best place to live to work, to grow, and to raise family. Listeners, it was a pleasure having you. Until you hear my voice again, this is Andria D. Whyte signing out. One love, always. Jamaica first.
Me love Jamaica, me nah sell out. Them try clip we wings, somehow we can't fly out. But when we there yard, nothing nice like Jamaica. Roast breadfruit and banana. Under the tree with a glass of lemonade. Jumping on the river when me ready for bed. No boy can't buy me out. Me no foreign minded, no way compared to Jamaica.